good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again. Another episode of The Celebrity Jump. Dima, on cool music. So, Bad Boys premiere came out the other night, and a lot of people attended this particular event. Many celebrities around the United States, but one celebrity in particular was there. Duane Martin. Now, Duane Martin is an actor. You know, he was on Above the Rim, that classic movie. And Duane Martin is just an all-right great guy. But there are some speculations that he and Will Smith, let's just say, booty clapping sounds!
Jesus Christ.
We'll get to that all in a minute. That cannot be proven. That is an allegation. But Will Smith is his friend somehow. So he decided to take his current girlfriend to the movie. This lady, Ashley Marie Jones. But who was Duane Martin married to previously? Rewind! Duane Martin was married to the lovely Tisha Campbell for many, many years. Almost like 24 years. And Tisha Campbell, we first saw her on the legendary Spike Lee movie School Days. And then she went on to do Martin. Not to be confused with Dwayne Martin, the TV show. But, you know, her career has not been the best ever since that series. Remember, she sued Martin for harassment and the series was ended. But Duane Martin and her also ended. She filed for divorce in 2018. And, well, she's still relatively single, not able to really get anybody else. But Duane Martin is able to get Ashley Marie Jones, a much younger woman than him. And that leads to this speculation. Why do older or rich men date younger women? The first theory comes from this guy.
Truth is, a lot of dudes who are like 45, 50 years old who refuse to date women their age, they don't do so because they prefer young women and how they look. Because let's be real, it's a lot of 40-something-year-old women that'll give these 20-something-year-old girls a run for their money. But it's because of the mental aspect. Like, as a guy gets older, one who wants to play games, by the way, who's like 40-something, 50 years old, he remembers it being easier to play those games whenever he was like 20. Because women in that age group, they're more on hope than they are experience. But experience is the best teacher. So as he gets older and he's trying to date women his age, they're like, no. I've seen your kind before. Like, I've lived the proof that you're here to waste my time. And I ain't going. So now he gonna go out here talking about how he prefers younger women because older women his age are full of baggage and they're bitter. And that's like, nah, they ain't full of baggage and bitter. They have a BS detector, so they're harder to manipulate. And manipulative men don't like that.
And if you look at this particular YouTube short, it has over 121,000 likes. It has many comments, pretty much saying that men don't want to deal with older women in particular because they know that older women know their games. So they want to deal with a younger woman and, you know, who's naive and take advantage of her. That's what Derek Jackson said. But then there's another school of thought from the brother by the name of My Name is China.
Guys that usually go for younger women, it's that when they were younger, women weren't messing with them.
That's true.
So they were heads in the books, probably not very attractive, whatever. Yeah. That wasn't their best years. Once they've accomplished themselves and they've made their standing, now they've got time to play.
Yeah.
So now they're attractive to women because now they have something behind them. Some of them are going to have work done, made themselves more attractive, but sometimes, obviously, their money, their net worth, their value makes them more attractive to younger women. So they don't want to go for the 35-year-old woman like them because no, I'm good. They don't want to go for the 35-year-old woman like them because when they were 18 and 15, they weren't interested. Yeah. No, I don't want you now. You didn't want me when I was 18. All right. I'm going to go for the 25-year-old that's got time to play because now it's my playtime. I've made my money. I've done everything. And that's usually why the older guy is with the younger woman. And the younger woman wants a good life.
Now, this guy is saying that a lot of the guys, when they're young, women their age don't want them. And by the time they get to where they're at, they don't want those women because those women have fell off and they're not really good mates anymore. You know, that could be partly true. Let me kind of talk about the hate comments when this photo went up on Neighborhood Talk. Here's what you're going to see. She looks like a young Tisha Campbell. Dwayne, the second one. Day music! Taking your new fiance to see your ex-boyfriend is insane. So what she's saying is the fact that Will Smith was getting his cheeks clapped by Dwayne Martin. All right, which doesn't have anything to do with the story, but let's continue. For all that, he should have just left Tisha alone and we could have had more episodes of Martin. All right. Not a younger Applehead. I don't know why they're blaming this guy for Martin ending, but okay. The comments are taking me out. Timu Tisha is the winner, right? And she ain't no Tisha. So all of these, I would assume are older black women, at least in the 30s, late 30s, 40s, that, were around in that 90s era. And they're really upset to see this. And they're hating on this young chick simply because this is a guy who wants a younger woman. And there's some reasons why older black men or rich men in general want women who are younger. First of all, younger people see the world more positively than older people, right? Just in general, all right? I have a young team here, and Dima's a young editor. So they see the world differently than I do, right? And a lot of times when you've been through things, you can become a negative Nancy about life, and they have innovations, new ideas, and look at the world a little bit differently. It's interesting going back and forth with somebody that's older than you, and it has some positive outlooks about life. Also, not to say that men are perfect, but once you're 30, 40, 45, 50, men or women, you both see the world in a way that you don't want to change yourself. You are not malleable to change. It's hard for you to do things that might be progressive for a relationship. And that's not just women, men also do that. Getting with a woman who may have been hurt before, may have experienced certain traumas before, and it's not malleable to the way of doing things that might be conducive for her mate and don't want to listen, I can tell you that nobody wants to put up with that. I've seen, and if you've seen the Kendra G show, you've seen several ladies that come on the show that are 40, 5 kids by 4 different dudes, and they're requiring $300,000 a year salary, take care of their kids, and then those expectations are unrealistic, and a lot of those ladies could feel like they don't need to offer anything to the man that they are dating. And this is what typically happens. It's not always that a younger woman is better looking, because Derek Jackson made a point that there could be some ladies that are better looking that are older, and we could agree to that. But what is the treatment? A lot of ladies feel like they don't need to do much for a guy. And let's look at the NFL. And I'm not trying to compare women or men to the NFL, but I'll just, kind of make a similar comment towards NFL franchises. NFL franchises want people who are younger, okay? The workforce wants somebody who's younger. The only time you want somebody who is more experienced is if they are a superstar. They are a Pro Bowler. They know what they are doing, all right? Now, if you can get a woman who is 40, 50, 60, and she's an excellent mate, she's an excellent wife, she's an excellent mother, guys would go for that. The issue is most people tend not to be like that after they've experienced many different things. So what you try to do is, if you're an older guy, you might deal with somebody that might have a little bit of willingness to learn, how you want to do things in your life. That's a possibility. And what it looks like to me, this is what he wants, okay? He wants a young lady who he feels, if he wants to have kids with her, he wants to go that route with her, and not to have that person with that particular negative Nancy mindset, that kind of bitterness, that bitterness that takes you, so far because you've been through, the wrong relationship, or you've been with guys that are not progressive. And then that comes back out into the relationship. So this is one of the things also, and let me just say this too. Younger ladies, on average, are less expensive to maintain than an older woman. Older women typically have more taste, okay? And some of them have kids. Some of them, like I said, they have an acquired taste for things and things like that. And if a man is going to pay that particular price for that lady, he needs to be getting a lot in return. That's how a man has to feel. But what I notice is a lot of men feel like, okay, well, if I'm gonna get a lady my age, what am I gonna get as a return for me taking care of her or taking care of her kids or whatever? And if you feel like you're not getting a lot, then what are you gonna do? You're gonna do what all these guys are doing, which is dating somebody younger, or you're gonna go to the passport bro route, which is still a way of a guy saying, I don't wanna pay or overpay for someone that I feel like, that doesn't feel like they're gonna give me what I'm looking for. Simple as that. It's just investment gain analysis. That's what it is. So a lot of older guys are dating younger women because they feel like for their investment and for their time, they will get more out of the relationship on average than dealing with someone their own age or older, who most likely doesn't look at life the most positive and has acquired certain habits that she is not willing to change in the relationship. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Appreciate you for all you just heard the bell. We're out.